The stars looked peaceful from Emperor Vexthal's throne room. But peace was not something the Zephyrian Empire believed in. For 20 years, his massive fleet had swept across the galaxy like hungry wolves. 17 star systems had fallen to his power. 17 different species now served the Empire as slaves. The Emperor's insect-like body shifted on his crystal throne as he studied. The newest target on his holographic display. A small blue planet called Earth, home to creatures that called themselves humans. The planet looked harmless enough, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. Admiral Kratos stepped forward, his metal boots clicking on the polished floor. He was the Emperor's best military commander, a veteran of countless battles. His scarred face showed nothing but contempt as he gestured at the Earth's display. "My lord, this world will fall in ours. The humans are weak, their ships are slow. Their weapons are primitive. They have only just learned to travel between stars, and barely at that." The Emperor's mandibles clicked together in what passed for laughter among his kind. "Yet they dare to ignore our messages. We have sent them warnings for weeks, but they refuse to even respond. Perhaps they are too stupid to understand, my lord, or too proud." The Emperor studied the swirling clouds on Earth's surface. "No matter. Send them the final ultimatum. The same message we have sent to every world before. Them." Within hours, every communication device on Earth received the same message. Television screens went black, then displayed the terrifying image of Emperor Vexthal. His insect eyes glowed red in the darkness of his throne room. His voice echoed, in perfect English, somehow translated by alien technology. "People of Earth, I am Emperor Vexthal of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our domain. You have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. Lay down all weapons. Spoil all military installations. Prepare to serve the Empire as loyal subjects." The image shifted to show massive ships floating in the darkness of space. Each vessel was the size of a city, covered in weapons that glowed with deadly energy. "If you refuse, we will destroy your civilization completely. Your cities will burn. Your people will die. Your planet will become a dead rock floating in space. This is your only warning. Submit or face total annihilation." The message ended, leaving Earth in stunned silence. President Jake Morrison sat in the Oval Office, his hands folded on the ancient wooden desk. He had been president for only 6 months, elected on a platform of peace and prosperity. Faced a decision that would determine the fate of every human being alive, General Lisa Hayes stood near the window, her uniform crisp despite the early hour. She had been pulled from her bed when the alien message arrived. Her usually calm face showed deep concern. "Mr. President, our satellites have been tracking their fleet for the past week. 300 ships, sir. Each one larger than our biggest aircraft carrier. Our entire space force combined could not match even their smallest vessel." Jake rubbed his tired eyes. It was 3 in the morning, but sleep was impossible now. "What do our scientists think about their technology, Dr. Alex?" Turner stepped forward from the shadows near the bookshelf. He was Earth's leading expert on the few alien artifacts that had been recovered over the years. His wild gray hair and thick glasses made him look more like a mad professor than humanity's last hope. "Mr. President, their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Their ships appear to be part machine, part living organism. But there is something strange about their approach to warfare." "Strange how?" "They seem to rely on brute force rather than clever tactics. Every world they have conquered fell to overwhelming firepower. They arrive, demand surrender, then destroy everything if refused. It is effective, but not very creative, General." Hayes turned from the window. "Ah, sir, we need to consider evacuation. 72 hours is not enough time to move 7 billion people, but we could save some. Where would we send them, Lisa? These aliens control half the galaxy. There is nowhere to run." The room fell silent. Outside, Washington, D.C. slept peacefully. Unaware that their world might end in 3 days, Jake stood up and walked to the portrait of George Washington on the wall. The first president seemed to stare back at him, as if asking what he would do in this impossible situation? My grandfather fought the Nazis in World War II. My father served 3 tours in Vietnam. The Morrison family has never backed down from a fight, no matter how bad the odds. He turned back to face the others. But this is not just about family honor. It's about what it means to be human. These aliens see us as insects to be stepped on. They think our technology makes us weak. They believe fear will make us surrender. Dr. Turner adjusted his glasses nervously. Sir, with respect, fear might be the intelligent response here. Their weapons could turn our cities to glass in minutes. So maybe so, Alex, but humans have faced impossible odds before. We survived ice, ages with nothing but stone tools. We crossed oceans in wooden ships. We split the atom and walked on the moon. Every time someone said it could not be done, we proved them wrong. General Hayes stepped closer to the president's desk. What are you suggesting, sir? Jake looked out the window at the lights of the capital city. Millions of people going about their lives, trusting their government to protect them. Children sleeping safely in their beds. Families planning their futures. All of it threatened by creatures from the stars who saw humans as nothing more than another species to enslave. I am suggesting we show these aliens something they have never seen before. Every world they have conquered surrendered without a real fight. But Earth is different. Humans are different. He walked back to his desk and picked up the secure phone. That connected him to military commanders around the world.
Oh.
Lisa, contact all our allies. Tell them what we face. Alex, I want every scientist working on new weapons. I do not care how crazy the ideas sound. We have 72 hours to prepare for the fight of our lives. General Hayes looked uncertain. Sir, are you declaring war on an empire that controls half the galaxy? Jake Morrison smiled grimly, and for a moment he looked exactly like his grandfather must have looked when facing impossible odds in Europe decades ago. No, Lisa. I am declaring that Earth will not go quietly into the night. We may not win, but we will make sure these aliens never forget the day they decided to mess with humanity. He picked up his pen and began writing the response that would change the course of galactic history. Send this message to Emperor Vextal. Tell him that Earth has considered his generous offer and we respectfully decline. Tell him that if he wants our world, he will have to take it. Tell him that humans have been fighting bullies for thousands of years. We are very good at it. The die was cast. In 72 hours, Earth would either be free or destroyed. But it would face its fate as humans always had, standing tall and fighting back against impossible odds. The 72 hours passed like a countdown to doomsday. Across Earth, people watched the skies and prayed to whatever gods they believed in. Some panicked and tried to flee to remote locations. Others gathered with their families and waited, but most simply went about their daily lives, trusting that their leaders had a plan they were right to trust, though the plan was unlike anything ever attempted in human history. Captain Roy Baker stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, newest and most advanced starship. The ship was barely 6 months old, built in secret using technology that pushed human engineering to its limits. Compared to the alien vessels approaching Earth, it was tiny. It's like a fishing boat facing a fleet of battleships. But Captain Baker was not worried about the size difference. He had volunteered for this mission knowing exactly what it meant. Behind him, his crew of 40 worked quietly at their stations. Each one was a volunteer. Each one knew they might not survive the next few hours. Lieutenant Kate Wilson looked up from her communications console. She was young, barely 25, but she had trained for this moment her entire adult life. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the alien fleet. They want to talk. Put it through, Kate. Let us see what our new friends have to say. The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the alien flagship. Emperor Vextal himself appeared, his insect-like features twisted in what might have been confusion or annoyance. His red eyes glowed in the darkness of his command center behind him. Admiral Kratos leaned forward, studying the human ship with obvious disbelief. He whispered something to his emperor, probably wondering why only one small vessel had come to meet their massive fleet. Human vessel, the emperor's voice echoed through the bridge. You are either very brave or very stupid. My fleet contains 300 ships. You are one. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick. Captain Baker stepped forward, his blue uniform clean and pressed despite the circumstances. He had served in the Earth Defense Force for 15 years, working his way up from a junior officer to captain of humanity's most important ship. His calm voice carried no fear. Emperor Vextal, I am Captain Roy Baker of the United Earth Defense Force. I bring a message from my president and my people. The alien emperor's mandibles clicked together impatiently. The species had conquered 17 worlds without ever hearing defiance from their victims. He expected fear, begging, perhaps offers of tribute. What he got instead was something entirely different. Speak quickly, human. My patience grows thin. We have reviewed your terms, your majesty, and frankly, we find them unacceptable. Earth hereby declares war on your empire. We suggest you leave our solar system immediately. Before you learn why humans have never been successfully conquered by anyone, alien or otherwise, a sound like laughter rippled through the alien bridge. Several Zephyrian officers clicked their mandibles in amusement. Admiral Kratos looked at the small human ship with something approaching pity. You declare war on us? The Emperor's voice carried genuine disbelief. One ship against 300? Human? Your species is clearly insane? Captain. Baker smiled, and his crew smiled with him. They knew something the aliens did not, something that was about to change everything. One ship? Emperor, you are not fighting one ship. You are fighting all of humanity. Every man, woman, and child on Earth, every human in this solar system. And we have had 5,000 years of practice at war. We are very, very good at it. The transmission ended abruptly as the Zephyrian fleet began moving toward Earth. Their massive ships accelerated slowly, confident in their overwhelming advantage. What happened next would be remembered as the miracle of Sol. The alien fleet had expected to find a few orbital defense platforms around Earth, maybe some primitive missiles. What they found instead was something no military tactician in galactic history had ever conceived. Commander Pete Johnson sat in his command chair aboard the mining station, Series 7, hidden deep within what appeared to be a normal asteroid. 6 months, human engineers had been secretly hollowing out hundreds of asteroids throughout the solar system, turning them into disguised weapons. Platforms. Pete watched his tactical display as the alien fleet approached the asteroid belt. The Zephyrians seemed to view the floating rocks as nothing more than navigation hazards. They had no idea they were flying into the most elaborate trap in human history. All stations, this is Series Command. Pete spoke into his microphone, his voice calm despite the magnitude of the moment. Target locks confirmed. Weapons are hot, on my mark. Hidden throughout the asteroid belt, 300 human warriors waited at their posts, former miners, engineers, and soldiers who had volunteered to turn their workplace into a battlefield. They had spent months preparing for this moment. Knowing they might not survive it, the lead Zephyrian ships entered the belt. Their sensors focused on the small human vessel ahead of them. They never saw the asteroids moving into position around them light them up. The asteroid belt exploded into action. Rocks that had floated peacefully for millions of years suddenly revealed themselves to be weapons platforms. Mass drivers fired streams of metal at incredible speeds. Nuclear missiles, launched from hidden silos. Energy weapons that had been experimental yesterday became deadly reality today. Admiral Kratos watched in shock as his outer ships began taking damage from directions that should have been empty space. Impossible. There are weapons everywhere. How did they hide so many platforms? His tactical officer, a younger Zephyrian named Zixtel, was frantically analyzing the incoming data. Sir, they have weaponized their entire asteroid belt. Every large rock in this region appears to be a disguised military installation. On the surface of Mars, Commander Bill Ross coordinated his own surprise. The red planet had seemed empty. When the Zephyrian scouts passed by weeks earlier, what they had missed were the underground installations that humans had been building for years. Mars Command to all units. Bill broadcast to his hidden forces, show these bugs what happens when they threaten our neighborhood. Weapons emerged from beneath the Martian surface. Missiles streaked up from hidden launch sites. Energy cannons that had been disguised as mining equipment opened fire on the confused alien fleet. The Zephyrians had never faced an enemy that treated their entire solar system as a potential battlefield. Every moon, every planet, every large asteroid had been turned into a defensive position. Where they expected empty space, they found weapons. Where they expected easy targets, they found traps. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. Captain Baker watched the battle unfold around him, his small ship dancing between massive alien vessels like a mosquito harassing elephants. The USS Defiance was not built for direct combat with ships 100 times its size. It was built for something much more dangerous. Kate, signal Earth Command. Tell them the aliens have taken the bait. Signal sent, Captain. On Earth, President Jake Morrison watched the battle from the Situation Room deep beneath the White House. General Lisa Hayes stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the tactical display that showed the asteroid belt lighting up with weapons fire. One is complete, Mr. President. The aliens are fully committed to the belt. Jake nodded grimly. Begin Phase 2, high above Earth's atmosphere. 1,000 satellites that had seemed like peaceful communication relays suddenly revealed their true purpose. They were weapons, hidden in plain sight. Waiting for this moment, the satellites opened fire, not at the alien fleet, but at carefully calculated points in space. Energy beams struck what appeared to be empty vacuum, but were actually hitting invisible objects that had been positioned months ago, space mines. Thousands of them detonated in a coordinated pattern that lit up the solar system like a deadly fireworks display. The Zephyrian fleet, already confused by the asteroid belt ambush, now found themselves trapped in a minefield that stretched from Mars to Jupiter. Emperor Vextel stared at his tactical display in disbelief. In 30 years of conquest, he had never seen anything like this. How is this possible? They are primitives. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Admiral Kratos was studying damage reports from across the fleet. My lord, they are not using advanced technology. They're using basic weapons in ways we never imagined. They have turned their entire solar system into a weapon. The Emperor's mandibles clicked in what might have been respect or rage. These humans fight like nothing we have ever encountered. The battle was far from over, but already the Zephyrian Empire was learning a hard lesson. Technology alone did not win wars. Sometimes the species with the most creative thinking and the strongest will to fight could overcome any advantage, and humans had been fighting for survival since. They first walked upright on the plains of Africa. They were just getting started. The battle raged for 6 hours without stopping. The asteroid belt had become a war zone unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as human weapons fought against alien technology. The Zephyrian fleet, which had seemed unstoppable just hours before, was learning that humans did not fight like any other species they had conquered. Colonel Mary Stone sat deep beneath the surface of the moon, in a command center that had been carved from solid rock. Above her head, lunar defense batteries fired continuously at the alien ships trying to reach Earth. The moon had seemed like an empty, airless rock to the Zephyrian scouts. They had no idea it was actually humanity's fortress. Battery 7. Adjust your targeting 2 degrees left, Mary spoke into her headset, coordinating the defensive fire. Battery 12. You have 3 bogies coming in from your northwest. The colonel had been stationed on Luna Base for 3 years, overseeing the secret construction of weapons that were now saving Earth. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her voice carried absolute authority. Every gunner on the moon followed her orders without question. Colonel, we have incoming missiles from the alien flagship, reported Sergeant Tony Miller from his console. Impact in 30 seconds. All personnel, brace for impact. Continue firing. The moon shook as alien weapons struck its surface, but the hidden batteries kept firing. Humans had learned long ago that the best defense was often hiding in places your enemy did not expect. The aliens were learning this lesson the hard way. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt, Commander Pete Johnson was fighting a different kind of battle. His mining station Series 7 had revealed itself as a massive weapons platform. But now, it was taking heavy fire from 3 Zephyrian cruisers. "Pete, we have hull breaches on levels 5 and 6, called out engineer Laura Davis from her damage. Control station. Life support is failing in Section C. Seal off Section C and reroute power to the main guns," Pete replied calmly. "How many more shots do we have?" "Maybe 20 if we are lucky." Pete nodded and continued targeting the nearest alien ship. His station had been built inside a real asteroid, using the rock itself as armor. But even asteroid rock could not stop everything the aliens were throwing at him. Then we make those 20 shots count. Fire at will. The hidden weapons platform unleashed another barrage of nuclear missiles at the Zephyrian cruiser. The alien ship's shields flared as the weapons struck home, but it kept coming, back on Mars. Commander Bill Ross was coordinating his own desperate defense. The Red Planet's hidden installations were proving more effective than anyone had hoped. Weapons that had been disguised as mining equipment were destroying alien fighters by the dozen. "Bill, this is incredible," transmitted Captain Nancy Green. From her underground bunker, "Their fighters are fast, but they fly in straight lines. It's like they have never faced unpredictable enemies before. Just keep hitting them, Nancy. Every ship we destroy here is one less that reaches Earth." The Martian defense grid had been humanity's backup plan, designed to slow down any enemy that made it past the asteroid belt. But it was doing much more than that. The alien pilots seemed confused by tactics that did not follow any logical pattern. Where they expected organized military formations, found guerrilla warfare. On the bridge of the USS Defiance, Captain Roy Baker was preparing for the most dangerous part of the mission. His small ship had been dancing through the battle for hours, staying one step ahead of alien weapons that could vaporize it instantly. But now it was time for the real purpose of his presence here. "Kate, signal all Earth forces. Now then we are beginning the Soul Gambit." Lieutenant Kate Wilson's hands trembled slightly as she sent the message. Everyone aboard the Defiance knew what the Soul Gambit meant. It was a plan so dangerous that it had only been discussed in whispers, alas. Resort that might save Earth or destroy everything. "Signal sent, Captain. All stations acknowledge." Captain Baker turned to his first officer, Commander Dan Hayes, who had served with him for 8 years. Dan was a good man, a father of 2 children back on Earth. He deserved to know the truth about what they were about to do. "Dan, you know, this maneuver will probably kill us all." Commander Hayes nodded solemnly. "Yes, sir. But if it works, our kids will grow up free. That is worth any price." The USS Defiance suddenly changed course, accelerating toward the center of the solar system at maximum speed. The alien ships pursuing it were confused by this apparently suicidal move. Why would the humans fly toward the sun? Emperor Vextel watched from his flagship as the small human vessel streaked toward certain death. What are they doing? Are they trying to escape through their star? Admiral Kratos studied his tactical display with growing alarm. "My lord, they are not escaping. They are using their star's gravity to increase their speed. But the trajectory will take them directly into our main formation. One small ship against 50 of our largest vessels? Let them come. We will vaporize them long before they reach us." But the Emperor did not understand human physics or human determination. The USS Defiance was not just using the sun's gravity for speed. It was using one of the most dangerous maneuvers ever attempted by any spacefaring species. "Kate, are all the nuclear devices armed and ready?" Captain Baker asked quietly. "Yes, sir. Every warhead on Earth has been loaded into our cargo bay. If this works, the explosion will be visible from other star systems." The Defiance slingshot around the sun at a speed that should have torn the ship apart. Human engineering had built it to survive this one impossible maneuver, but just barely. The hull groaned under forces that no spacecraft was designed to endure. As the ship emerged from behind the sun, it was moving faster than any human vessel had ever traveled. The Zephyrian formation lay directly ahead, their massive ships clustered together like sitting ducks. "All crew, this is the captain," Baker announced over the ship's communication system. "It has been an honor serving with you. Tell Earth that we did our duty." The alien gunners opened fire as the Defiance approached, but the small ship was moving too fast for their targeting systems. weapons that could destroy a city missed by meters as the human vessels streaked through their formation like a bullet. Emperor Vexthal realized what was happening just seconds too late. Stop that ship. They are on a collision course. But nothing could stop the USS Defiance now. Captain Baker smiled as he pressed the detonation button, thinking of his wife Sarah back on Earth. Of the children who would grow up free because of what happened here today, the explosion was like a new star. Being born in the heart of the Zephyrian fleet, every nuclear weapon humanity had ever built detonated simultaneously, creating a fireball that expanded for millions of kilometers. The alien ships at the center of the formation simply vanished, turned to vapor in an instant. The shockwave spread outward, damaging or destroying dozens of other vessels. Ships that had seemed invincible just moments before were now floating hulks, their crews dead or dying. On Earth, people looked up at the sky and saw a new light burning in space. They did not know the details of what had happened, but they knew their defenders had given everything to protect them. Emperor Vexel found himself staring at empty space where half his fleet had been just seconds before. His own flagship was damaged, its shields failing, and its weapons offline. Round him, his surviving ships were in similar condition. "My Lord Admiral Kratos said quietly, his voice filled with something the Zephyrian Empire had never experienced before: defeat. We have lost over 200 ships. Our remaining forces are too damaged to continue the attack." The Emperor's mandibles clicked in what might have been respect or disbelief. These humans, they would rather die than surrender. They turned their entire solar system into a weapon, and then they turned themselves into a weapon. "Should we retreat, my lord?" For the first time in his long reign, Emperor Vexthal was forced to consider a word that had never been part of the Zephyrian vocabulary. "Withdrawal," signaled the fleet. "We return to the home system. This world has taught us that there are some victories too costly to achieve." As the battered remains of the Zephyrian fleet limped away from Earth, they left behind something that would change the galaxy forever, proof that the mighty empire could be defeated. Courage and determination could triumph over superior technology. The humans had won their first battle, but the war was far from over. The silence after the battle was almost as frightening as the battle itself, where hundreds of alien ships had filled the space around Earth just hours before. Now only debris floated in the darkness. The USS Defiance was gone, along with Captain Roy Baker and his brave crew, but their sacrifice had saved humanity. President Jake Morrison stood in the Oval Office, looking out at the Washington skyline. The sun was rising on a world that was still free. Behind him, General Lisa Hayes read from a tablet containing the casualty reports. "Mr. President, we lost Captain Baker and the crew of the Defiance. Commander Pete Johnson and his team at Series 7. Colonel Mary Stone reports heavy casualties on Luna Base. In total, we lost about 2,000 people." Jake turned from the window, his face showing the weight of those losses. 2,000 of our best and bravest. But how many lives did they save? 7 billion, sir? Every person on Earth? The president nodded slowly. "Their sacrifice will not be forgotten. But Lisa, this is not over. The aliens retreated, but they might come back with more ships." General Hayes closed her tablet and looked directly at her commander-in-chief. "Sir, I do not think they will return any time soon. Our intelligence suggests that the Zephyrian Empire has never lost a battle before. What happened here will shock them to their core." She was right. News of the defeated Earth spread through the galaxy faster than anyone expected. For 20 years, the Zephyrian Empire had seemed unstoppable. Every species they encountered either surrendered immediately or was destroyed completely. For the first time, they had been forced to retreat. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Emperor Vexel sat in his throne room, staring at reports from the battle. His mandibles clicked nervously as he read the details of how a primitive species had outfought his advanced fleet using nothing but clever tactics and absolute determination. "My Lord Admiral Kratos said carefully, the other conquered species have heard about Earth. There are reports of unrest on 12 different worlds." The Emperor's red eyes glowed with anger and something else: fear. What kind of unrest? Rebellion? My lord, the humans have shown them that we can be defeated. Species that have served us for years are now demanding their freedom. For the first time in his reign, Emperor Vextal was learning what every dictator eventually discovers: that power built on fear alone is fragile. Once people stop being afraid, the whole system begins to collapse. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Alex Turner was receiving visitors he had never expected to see. A small alien ship had approached Earth under a flag of truce, carrying representatives from 3 different species that had been conquered by the Zephyrians years ago. The alien delegation was led by Ambassador Thexera, a tall, blue-skinned humanoid whose people had been enslaved for 15 years. She stood in the United Nations building in New York, surrounded by curious humans who had never seen a friendly alien before. "Dr. Turner," she said in accented but clear English, "we come seeking alliance. Your victory over the Empire has inspired our people to fight for freedom." Alex adjusted his glasses nervously. He was still getting used to his new role as Earth's first ambassador to alien species. "Ambassador, we appreciate your visit, but we are still rebuilding from our own battle. We may not be able to provide much military assistance." The blue-skinned alien smiled, showing white teeth that were surprisingly human-like. "Doctor, we do not need your ships or your weapons. We need something much more valuable. We need to learn how humans fight." Over the following months, Earth became something no one had expected: a training ground for galactic rebellion. Species from across the galaxy sent representatives to learn what humans called asymmetric warfare, the art of defeating a stronger enemy.
Ow!
Through clever tactics rather than superior firepower, General Lisa Hayes, now promoted to head of the new Interstellar Defense Academy, found herself teaching alien students the lessons that humans had learned through thousands of years of conflict. "The key," she explained to a class that included representatives from 6 different species, "is to make your enemy fight on your terms, not theirs." The Zephyrians expect traditional space battles with organized fleets. Instead, give them guerrilla warfare, hidden weapons, and unexpected tactics. One of her students, a furry creature named Baxter, whose people had been conquered just 2 years ago, raised a claw-like hand. "General Hayes, how do we hide weapons in space? Our worlds have no asteroid belts like Earth." Lisa smiled. "Baxter, you are thinking too much like your enemy. Asteroids were just one option. What do you have that the Zephyrians ignore? Old space stations? Abandoned ships? Even garbage can be turned into weapons if you are creative enough." The rebellion spread faster than the Empire could contain it. World after world began to resist Zephyrian rule, using tactics learned from human instructors. The aliens discovered that humans had a gift for thinking outside conventional military doctrine. Commander Bill Ross, the former defender of Mars, now led joint human-alien fleets against Zephyrian outposts. His ships included vessels from a dozen different species, all working together under human tactical leadership. "Ships," he broadcast during an attack on a Zephyrian supply depot. "Remember what we learned on Earth? Do not fight their strengths. Find their weaknesses and exploit them." The alien ships scattered in all directions, attacking from angles the Zephyrian defenders had never anticipated. Where the Empire expected orderly battle formations, they found chaos that somehow worked perfectly. Emperor Vextal watched his empire crumble from his crystal throne. In less than a year, he had lost control of 8 star systems. His mighty fleet was scattered across the galaxy, trying to put down rebellions that seemed to spring up everywhere at once. My Lord Admiral Kratos reported during their daily briefing, "We have lost 3 more systems this week. The rebels are using human tactics. We cannot predict their movements." The Emperor's mandibles clicked in frustration. "How can primitives teach advanced species to defeat us? It makes no sense, my lord. Perhaps they are not as primitive as we believed. Their technology may be simple, but their understanding of warfare is sophisticated. They think in ways we cannot anticipate." The final battle came sooner than anyone expected. The Rebel Alliance, now calling itself the Free Worlds Coalition, had grown strong enough to attack the Zephyrian homeworld itself. Admiral Bill Ross commanded the largest fleet in human history. with ships from 20 different species flying under the banner of freedom. As they approached the enemy capital, they received one last transmission from Emperor Vextel himself. "Humans of Earth," the alien ruler said, his voice carrying none of its former arrogance. "The Empire offers terms. We will withdraw from all conquered territories. We'll never again threaten your world or your allies."
President Jake Morrison,
now speaking for the entire coalition, replied from the bridge of Earth's new flagship, "Your Majesty, your terms are unacceptable. The only acceptable outcome is your complete surrender and the freedom of every species under your rule." The Emperor's image flickered with what might have been desperation. "You would destroy an entire civilization for the sake of your principles." "No, Your Majesty. We offer you the same choice you gave us 1 year ago. Surrender and join the community of free worlds, or face the consequences of your actions." The Zephyrian Empire surrendered without firing a shot. Faced with a coalition of species that had learned to fight like humans, they chose survival over pride years later. Historians would debate whether the Empire's decision to attack Earth was the greatest strategic mistake in galactic history. But the result was not debatable. Humanity had not only survived first contact with a hostile alien civilization, they had fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The memorial to Captain Roy Baker and his crew was built on Luna. Visible from Earth with a simple telescope, the inscription read, "They showed the galaxy what humans are made of. Galaxy has never been the same." In the archives of the former Zephyrian Empire, now part of the Free Worlds Alliance, a single entry remained as a warning to future would-be conquerors. Never underestimate a species that views their entire solar system as a potential weapon. The humans of Earth taught us that courage and determination are more powerful than any technology. They were absolutely right. The Empire had chosen war with Earth. It had been the biggest mistake in galactic history. But from that mistake, a new age of freedom had been born among the stars.